Prepare to venture into the depths of darkness as we embark on an unprecedented journey through the corridors of the unknown. Tonight I unveil to you a tale unlike any other, a puzzling story that will keep you at the edge of your seats. Welcome, brave souls, to the mystifying chronicle of Akmal Shaikh and his bewitching composition, Come, Little Rabbit. Born in the depths of Pakistan in 1956, Akmal Shaikh lived a life veiled from the prying eyes of the world. While the majority of his days were spent in obscurity, it would be a grave mistake to assume that his existence was unremarkable. Across the years, Shaikh traversed continents seeking solace in new ventures that held the promise of a brighter future. In the vibrant 80s, he set his sights on the United States, eager to immerse himself in the realm of real estate. But alas, success eluded him and his dreams crumbled like castles in the air. Undeterred, he crossed oceans once again, arriving in London in the enigmatic 90s. Here he sought refuge in the world of mini-cabs, hoping to carve out a niche for himself. Alas, fate had other plans, and his endeavors remained fleeting and unfulfilled. As each venture faltered, Shaikh found himself engulfed in the clutches of poverty. Bankruptcy loomed ominously over his head, casting a long and unforgiving shadow upon his path. But his struggles did not end there, for the wheels of misfortune turned relentlessly against him. In the year 2003, he faced grave allegations of sexual harassment and unfair dismissal, which tore apart the fabric of his personal life. The painful aftermath saw his wife depart, taking their children with her, and the bitter taste of divorce lingered on his lips. Akmal Shaikh's existence was a series of trials and tribulations, a never-ending battle against a relentless tide of setbacks. Yet within this sea of adversity, an eerie undercurrent would soon emerge, signaling the onset of a journey that would forever stain the pages of his existence. In the wake of the devastating London bombings in 2005, Akmal Shaikh found himself ensnared within the web of suspicion. The authorities, in their fervent search for answers, turned their gaze upon him. A text message sent to his friends emerged as a troubling piece of evidence, proclaiming that now the world would comprehend the essence of Muslims and the concept of jihad. Simultaneously, he faced accusations of threatening his ex-wife, further casting a shadow of doubt upon his character. However, despite the gravity of these allegations, no formal legal charges were ever brought against him. Yet the haunting tides of misfortune continued to surge against Akmal Shaikh. Merely months later, he was gripped by the merciless hands of the law, apprehended for the grave offense of driving under the influence. The darkness that had clouded his path now seemed to envelop him completely, as if the weight of the world conspired to push him further into the abyss. Akmal Shaikh's life had indeed become a turbulent roller coaster, with each twist and turn threatening to send him deeper and deeper into a never-ending hole. His journey had led him to the darkest depths of despair, where he found himself living in the shadows, reliant on handouts and seeking solace in the meager offerings of soup kitchens back in 2007. In the midst of a public demonstration in 2007, a twist of fate would bring Akmal Shaikh face to face with Gareth Saunders, a man whose connections within the music industry ran deep. This serendipitous encounter would prove to be a turning point in Shaikh's tumultuous journey, as his life's purpose gradually came into focus. It was during this chance meeting that Shaikh unveiled a hidden aspect of his being, a song he had penned titled, Come, Little Rabbit. Astonishingly, this composition emerged from the depths of his soul, despite his lack of musical experience. But its significance reached far beyond mere artistic expression. Shaikh firmly believed that this melodic creation held the power to propel him to unprecedented stardom, while also fostering a harmonious unity among the people of the world. Begging Gareth Saunders for assistance, Shaikh implored him to help bring his song to life. After careful consideration, Gareth seemed to acknowledge the profound sincerity and unwavering belief that radiated from Shaikh. A glimmer of possibility emerged as Gareth agreed to accompany Shaikh to a recording studio, embarking on a collaborative journey that would forever alter the course of their lives. And so, in that very year, Come Little Rabbit emerged from the confines of Shaikh's imagination. Meticulously crafted and recorded, ready to be unleashed upon the world. The following is what was produced.
Come little rabbit, come to me. Come little rabbit, let it be. Come little rabbit, come and pray. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Illallah, illallah. La ilaha illallah. Illallah, illallah. Come little rabbit, come to me. Come little rabbit, come and play.
As the curtain fell upon the release of Come Little Rabbit, the sad truth unveiled itself with a heavy sigh. The song that Shaikh had held with unwavering conviction as a harbinger of global unity fell short of its intended impact. In the cold light of reality, it became apparent that the world did not converge in harmonious accord upon its haunting notes. The dream that Shaikh had nurtured, the belief that his composition could transcend barriers and bring about a new era of peace, was shattered against the rocks of disappointment. Alas, the song that had fueled Akmal Shaikh's hopes now cast him further into the depths of despair. While the world continued its relentless march of chaos, Shaikh clung to the belief that Come Little Rabbit held the power to bring about global harmony. Convinced that his lack of recognition hindered its transformative potential, he became consumed by the notion that his anonymity stood as the sole obstacle to realizing his grand vision. However, a glimmer of opportunity emerged amidst the shadows of Shaikh's desolation. By a twist of fate, he crossed paths with Akmal, a man whose connection to a renowned nightclub in China presented a chance that would alter the course of Shaikh's life. Impressed by the composition of Come Little Rabbit, Akmal made a bold decision. He asked Shaikh to fly out to China, granting him the extraordinary opportunity to perform in front of thousands at one of the country's most prominent nightclubs. And so on September 12, 2007, the winds of fate carried Akmal Shaikh across oceans to China, a voyage that held the promise of transforming his dreams into reality. However, before his departure, Akmal was entrusted with a suitcase belonging to Akmal, and as fate would have it, a schedule conflict separated Akmal from Akmal, leaving the latter to arrive at the airport much earlier than Akmal. As the plane landed at Urumqi Airport in China, Akmal's journey took an unexpected turn. What should have been a smooth transition quickly transformed into a maze of confusion and apprehension. Unable to converse in the local language, Shaikh found himself disoriented and unable to navigate his way through the airport. The weight of his predicament pressed upon him, manifesting in restless pacing and a growing sense of unease. Unbeknownst to Shaikh, his increasingly erratic behavior did not escape the watchful eyes of airport security. Their suspicions aroused, they closely observed the man's deteriorating demeanor. Convinced that something sinister lurked beneath the surface, in a decision fueled by suspicion, they made the fateful choice to detain and search him, firmly believing they would uncover evidence of illicit activities. As the bag given to Shaikh by Akmal was opened by airport security, the atmosphere grew tense. The silence shattered like glass, engulfing the room in a haunting symphony of revelation. Inside the suitcase, concealed within its depths, lay a shocking discovery that would forever alter the course of Shaikh's life. A staggering 4 kilograms of heroin. Shaikh's world crumbled around him as panic consumed his being. The magnitude of his unwitting involvement in illegal activities struck him with an overwhelming force. Desperate to escape the clutches of this nightmare, he pleaded with airport security, claiming that the bag belonged to his friend Akmal, who would soon arrive to rectify the situation. In an astonishing turn of events, security seemed to place some faith in his words, waiting anxiously for Akmal's arrival to resolve the turmoil. As minutes turned into an agonizing wait, the truth hung heavily in the air. Akmal's presence never materialized. In a cruel twist of fate, Akmal Shaikh had unknowingly fallen victim to a sinister plot. Ensnared in a web of deception that preyed upon his fragile mental state. Exploited and manipulated, his innocence shattered, Shaikh found himself thrust into the heart of a crime he had no knowledge or intention of committing. The supposed opportunity that had promised him a path to fame and redemption was nothing but an elaborate ruse designed to exploit his vulnerabilities. There was no nightclub, no grand performance awaiting him. It was all a cruel facade, meticulously constructed to deceive him. As the authorities grew impatient, Sheikh's desperate plea for his friend Akmal's arrival to clarify the situation fell on deaf ears. The reality of his predicament was harshly revealed, as he faced the grim consequences of being implicated in drug smuggling. The weight of his punishment hung heavy over him, the sentence being nothing short of death. The international community erupted with outrage as news of Akmal Shaikh's impending execution spread far and wide. The controversial decision that condemned him to death sparked a global outcry, with individuals and organizations fervently advocating for a reassessment of his case. The mounting pressure led to a glimmer of hope as the legal system agreed to hear the case for a second time in 2009. Sheikh's lawyer, recognizing the undeniable impact of his client's mental state on the events that transpired, sought to have him undergo a comprehensive mental evaluation. The hope was to shed light on the manipulation and exploitation Shaikh had endured, presenting a compelling argument for clemency. However, their pleas for a psychological assessment were met with repeated rejections, stifling the possibility of a fair and just reconsideration of his circumstances. Despite the impassioned efforts of Sheikh's legal team and the voices of dissent resonating around the world, the second hearing concluded with the initial ruling being upheld. The weight of despair descended upon Shaikh as the specter of his impending execution loomed ever closer, casting a dark cloud over the approaching date of December 29th. In a desperate attempt to halt the impending tragedy, the haunting strains of "Come Little Rabbit" echoed through the digital realm. The first and perhaps one of the only 4 recorded versions of the song emerged on YouTube, accompanied by a poignant narrative that wove the heart-wrenching story of Akmal Shaikh. This impassioned plea reached out to viewers, urging them to join forces in a final monumental endeavor to sway the minds of China's government. In a desperate attempt to halt the impending tragedy, the haunting strains of "Come Little Rabbit" echoed through the digital realm. The first and perhaps one of the only 4 recorded versions of the song emerged on YouTube, accompanied by a poignant narrative that wove the heart-wrenching story of Akmal Shaikh. This impassioned plea reached out to viewers, urging them to join forces in a final monumental endeavor to sway the minds of China's government. Despite the impassioned pleas and global outcry, the efforts to save Akmal Shaikh's life were in vain. The Chinese government proceeded with their decision, opting for a lethal injection instead of the originally planned firing squad. Sheikh's life was tragically cut short, his body forever lost to those who sought to honor his memory. Today, the video that once carried the echoes of his song and the impassioned plea to save his life lingers as a forgotten relic on YouTube's digital landscape. It stands as a haunting testament to the tale of a man whose earnest desire to unite the world through music became an instrument of his own undoing. In his pursuit of peace, Shaikh unwittingly stumbled into a web of manipulation and exploitation that ultimately sealed his tragic fate.